I just did it.
Okay, so, Karina, you highlighted resentment. Who would like to read the sentence with resentment in it? Yeah.
Watching their children take the anger and resentment they felt over his death and turn it against each other was even harder.
Okay, so what do you think might be another word for resentment? Andy?
Challenge.
Challenge. So watching their children take the anger and challenge they felt over his death and turn against each other was even harder. Okay, like, what do you mean challenge? Like
Somebody's threatening.
Okay, so kind of like a threatening challenge.
Like a threat.
Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know if challenge is the best word. Yeah.
Like sadness.
Sadness. Yeah. Why do you think sadness?
Because it's so like anger and resentment. Maybe that.
Anger and sadness, you think, go together a bit more in that
Yeah,
context when someone. This is done. You think that anger and sadness make more sense when someone's passing away?
Yeah.
So, what clues in the text let you know that sadness is a really good verb or a really good adjective? Yeah.
I have a word.
What? Okay, I asked my question though. Okay.
No, the one watching their children take the anger and resentment, and then it said they felt over his death and turned them against each other.
Okay.
So, how they felt over his, how resentment they felt. So they also, you could replace that sadness they felt.
You know, sadness is a feeling.
Right.
And it says that's how they felt.
Right. So it would, felt is like another word for feelings.
You're right. Exactly. So in the text it said how they felt after the death. In the text it said how they felt after the death. And you used your knowledge on when someone dies. Usually you're sad, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you used your background knowledge and your text clues to help you figure out that resentment is another word for sad. Can I have someone else use the word resentment in there? In a sentence, I mean? Andy?
He was resentful that his father died.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly, like how you added a different suffix to the end. Okay. Well, we did a really great job. You can click the record button again. I want everyone click the record button, please. Okay, so my question was, were there any clues in the text that lead you to believe that they'll stop arguing? Jack?
I highlighted that working together was really kind of fun.
Why did you highlight that?
Because they were working together and it said it was kind of fun, so that gave me a clue that they might stop fighting.
Why do you think that?
Because now they're working together and they're thinking it's kind of fun, so yeah, it just seems like they're not really going to fight anymore.
So because when you work on things and you're having fun,
you're finally experiencing what would happen if they worked together.
Absolutely. Any other things that we wanted to share? Yeah.
I had the same reason.
You had the same reason?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that I highlighted the exact same thing. Okay, click the record button. So what does that mean?
It means that they're starting to agree on things. Because before they were like, no, we should go to this one.
So they're starting to agree.
And
Very smart,
he began to realize how tired it was fighting versus his sister about every little thing.
Awesome. Absolutely. And why do you think that's a big clue that they're going to start?
Because if he's tired on him, he's probably not going to do it again.
Absolutely. Jack?
I'm not exactly clear on what Final Apache is, but still, I know it's like a band. Once given the name to a band in Arizona where Tala and Paco live, but still. Is there any other things you need to know about them?
Oh, so you have a question about that?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good, maybe, I wonder if we can infer some reasons why it's important once we get to that chapter. You'll have to pay attention to that.
Okay.
Yes. Emmett.
It said, let's read more about the original Apache Tears, and the twins went to Apache Tears instead of just saying, no, it says about, walking, blah, blah, blah. So
what does that make you infer?
They will get along more better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of these stones.
Because of the stones. Awesome. Lydia, what were you going to say?
That was Emmett.
Now, I highlighted the part that said, it looks as if we were both right when Paco said at the beginning of the page. What can we infer from that? Karina?
That they're getting along much better.
That they're getting along much better. And also, I probably think that the fact that they're both right probably helped out their argument a little bit. How do you think it helped? Emmett?
So they didn't have to go, hey, I'm right,
You kind of seem like they're bonding on that a little bit more. Okay, you can hit the record button. Lydia?
I highlighted Taylor didn't usually like legends, but she enjoyed reading about science, but Pico could tell that since Storm was very interested in the story.
And what can you infer from that?
Maybe that they'll finally find something that they're both interested in, because if Tala's reading it, and she might now be more interested in the legends. So they can get along better to go find out more things about legends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I also highlighted that same thing. I also highlighted Tala didn't usually like legends. She enjoyed reading about science, but Paco could tell his sister was very interested in the story. So, yeah.
And why did you highlight that?
Well, because I highlighted it because it's another part that seems like they're getting along even more.
Absolutely. Andy?
He decided that he would read more about volcanoes and all the rocks. I highlighted that because maybe they were gonna agree on something.
You think that they'll agree on something? Absolutely. And what do you think he's trying to do there by reading about the volcanic rocks?
He sees if he's interested in it.
So they're both trying to do what? Emmett? Help.
And I highlighted both.
Oh, you highlighted both? I did too. What a coincidence. Okay. Click the record button. Okay. And what's your word?
Oh, it's recording it.
That's okay.
Embedded. I couldn't really see.
Embedded. Will you reread? Sure. Will you reread? Okay, doesn't matter. Will you reread that word?
Oh, for me?
Yes, you.
Oh, the chapter from it? Not the chapter, the sentence.
The sentence with the word in it?
Rather than being captured, the Apache warriors jumped from cliff to their death. When the Apache women heard of their warriors' death, they were filled with great pain and despair so deep that the Great Father embedded their tears into black stones that rested in the river.
What do you think we might replace embedded with? What's another word? What would make sense there? Jack?
Maybe put this tears in the black stones.
Let's see if that makes sense. Who will reread it with put? Karina?
When the Apache women heard of their warriors' deaths, they filled with great pain and despair. So deep that the Great Father put in their tears into the black stones and rested in the river.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do we know what despair means?
Oh.
Highlight despair if you don't know what despair means. That's fine.
I'm pretty sure I know what it means, but I'll highlight it just in case.
Okay. What can we infer that despair means? Andy?
Cry, be sad.
Sadness?
Yeah.
Sadness. Can you read that sentence replacing despair with sadness?
They were filled with great pain and sadness, so deep that the Great Father embedded their tears in black stones that rested in the river.
What words led you to believe that despair meant sadness? Emmett?
It's with the tears. Because they were so in despair that they cried.
They were crying? Absolutely. That's a good clue. Were there any other clues? Karina?
Pain.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, hit record. I want you to highlight the part where it says, Paco and Talis sat back and studied their stones in silence, lifting and gazing into their centers. In that paragraph. So, highlight that sentence and think about why they're doing that.
Which one?
The sentence that says, Paco and Tala sat back and studied their stones in silence, lifting them to the light and gazing into their centers. Why are they doing that? You two have contributed a lot. I want to hear some other ideas from
Well, I
other
don't know
people.
what it is.
The very first sentence that we read. In the paragraph that we read so far. Why are they doing that? Andy, why are they doing that?
Because they were living with the light to see if they had tears in them.
They were looking to the light to see if they had tears in them. Why do you think that? Because they were holding them up to the light. What leads you to believe that they were looking for tears? Emmett?
Because it was about like how the girl cried and her tears was stones.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what the man did.
Well, what in the story before leads you to believe that they might be looking for tears in the stones?
Because the rocks basically are tears.
Mm-hmm. It has the tears embedded in them. Mm-hmm. That's what it said in the text before. It said the tears were embedded in them. So that kind of leads you to believe that they're looking for the tears from that story. Okay, hit the record button.